Hello, you guys. What is up? I feel like it has been so long since I just sat in front of the camera and talked to you guys, but I've been meaning to do an off-season video for a really long time now. Part of the reason I put it off, though, honestly, was because I felt like I really didn't have my shit together, and I felt like to be making a video, like giving advice or whatever to you guys, I felt like I wanted to have my shit together more before, I gave advice to you guys. But I've been realizing, especially in off season, it's really hard for a lot of people to have their shit together all the time. Off season is hard, so I figured I would just finally sit down with you guys and talk about how my off season has been going, because I've definitely struggled. But I just want to put this video out there to help any of you guys struggling and just to make you feel like you're not alone, and off season is hard. So okay, also another reason why I've been putting it off is because I feel like my face is like so fat. Like I've always had big cheeks, but then when I was dieting, I had like the diet face, I had a jawline, everything. And in the last video I posted, when I saw like the intro, I honestly didn't even want to put it in. I was like, holy shit, my face looks so fat. But I always want to keep it real with you guys, so that's just how my off season is going. And definitely have a goal for next year when I transition into my next off season to just do so much better. I never want to reach this weight again. But that being said, I posted a Q&A on my Instagram about just like some of you guys' struggles in your off season. So the first thing I got was just feeling fat and how the weight gain is uncomfortable. So first of all, you are 1,000% not alone. I probably think to myself that I feel fat like every single day. But one thing, I have like a prep friend, we talk about our off-season struggles like all the time, and we talk about how like we feel like a potato, blah blah blah. So we came up with this thing that we're not allowed to call ourselves potatoes, and we're avocados, because those are the healthy fats. So I don't know, that's just what we do. So in regards to the weight gain feeling uncomfortable, yes, of course it's gonna feel uncomfortable, especially once you see yourself stage lean. It's like you can't unsee it. But you just have to remember that growth never happens when you are comfortable. So in this time during your off season, you're going to be uncomfortable. You're going to gain some weight. You're not gonna look how you did like a few weeks out, and you shouldn't in your off season because it's not healthy. But you just have to remember that even though you feel uncomfortable, that is where growth is happening, both physically, of course, because we're bodybuilders. So both physically, but also mentally, especially. Like of course in off season, people focus on growing muscle and everything, but it's really important to focus on your mindset too, because there are so many challenges and like mental challenges in your off season. Like of course during prep, a lot of people talk about how it's the mental challenge, but it's the same thing in your off season. So honestly, the goals are the same in season and off season. It's just to improve physically and mentally. And I guess during in season, it's like easier because from week to week you're getting leaner, so you see those improvements. When in off season, you don't really, but you just have to know like as long as your workouts are improving, you're getting stronger, then you are making those improvements, as well as always focusing on your mental as well. And also something that I tell myself that's super important during your off season is that while you may be uncomfortable right now, that extra weight is allowing you to bring your next physique. Because like for me, I need to put on more muscle, and I want my next physique when I'm stage lean to be more muscular. So what I'm doing right now is helping me build muscle to get to your next physique. So you just have to keep like the long-term goal in mind, and yes, it's uncomfortable now, but it's temporary. Okay, so the next thing I got was thinking an outfit will look the same on me like it did during prep. So I've totally been there. I literally, so I was like in prep at home, and then I am back in school now, and I literally packed like a kid's medium shorts, stupidly thinking I would still fit into it. Meanwhile, I have not touched those since I've been here, but so yeah, this one is definitely hard. Because like I said, once you see yourself that lean, it's hard, to unsee it. And for me personally, I've like been in front of the mirror and been like, damn, like I wish my shoulders popped more. Like if only I could wear this, like I would look so much better if I was leaner right now. So that's totally normal. I guess all I have to say on this is to like embrace your off-season curves. Like for me, when I was super lean, my boobs completely went away. So, now they're back, but just for me personally, even if I did wear something tight, like, I would still feel uncomfortable because the way my body fat, like, distributes itself, most of it, like, just goes to my stomach, so I feel so fat. So, honestly, I've just been having big t-shirt workouts pretty much all off-season. So, just wear what you feel comfortable in. Honestly, I still don't have it nailed down yet. Like, I still feel uncomfortable in certain clothes. So, if you have suggestions, leave it in the comments to help other people who watch this video. But that's pretty much what I have on that. I have not really figured that out yet either, and I just wear baggy clothes. But thankfully, it's winter, so it works. Okay, so this next one, I really like this one because I totally relate, and it's that they feel like they have no sense of purpose in your off season. So I totally 110% feel this. Like when I was in prep, I just felt so on it. I felt like my purpose could not be any clearer, any louder, anything. I just felt so alive during prep, and then when I had no show in mind or like no show coming up, I was sort of just like, I don't know, loss of purpose, like she said. So you just have to like really take a second and think about what your purpose actually was during prep, because there's so much focus on like just looking like the best human ever. But the real purpose, especially if you're like, for me, I was doing YouTube and everything. So the real purpose of that is like who you help along the way, who you inspire, and by sharing your journey, how it helps other people's lives. So even though you don't have a show date in mind, your goal still is to improve physically. Even though you're not getting leaner, your goal still is to improve physically and mentally. And by like putting out in the open, sharing your struggles in off season, you still are helping people. So you still have a purpose. And honestly, like off season is where people struggle the most. So that could be like where your purpose to help and inspire others like really, I don't know what I'm trying to say, just like really shines through or whatever. So yeah, so in season, you may feel like your purpose is just to look like the best human ever. But really like the underlying thing to that is just being the best version of yourself. Whether in prep, that's physically, but in off season, it's both physically and mentally, especially the mental side. Like there's so much room for mental growth in your off season. So you just have to remember you still have a purpose. And this kind of goes into the next one. So a sense of loss of identity. And I totally felt this as well because during prep, like you are so focused, like everything is about prep, and like when you look that good, you just want to like go everywhere with no shirt on, and people know you as like that gym girl. Oh, she looks so good. And then when you start to gain weight, you feel sort of like a different person in a way, I guess. But what's helped me is remembering or like thinking that your identity is not your physique. Your identity is all the challenges and everything that it took to get you to that physique. So your identity is not your physique, it's what it took to get you there. And right now you're just going through more challenges that will bring you to your next physique. So you shouldn't feel a loss of identity. You're just working on it. And this whole bodybuilding journey is just like a whole thing of character development, self-improvement. So you shouldn't feel a sense of loss of identity just because you don't have the same physical body, because you are working on your mental to get to an even better physical body, if that makes sense. Okay, so the next response I got was being torn between wanting to be strong and wanting to be lean. Okay, so the first thing I have to say on this, especially as women, is we cannot be stage lean year round just because, for hormone health and everything, like we just are not meant to be that lean. So you just have to tell yourself, like, in your off season you have to be healthy, so you have to gain a little bit more body fat to be healthy, and to set yourself up to be healthy in your next prep, so your body responds, all your hormones are in a good place and everything. So first of all, there's that. And then second of all, being torn between being stage lean and being strong. So this is when you have to realize that when you choose bodybuilding, you choose all of the phases. You choose the super fun being stage lean phase, but your lifts might not be as good, you might not be as strong. And then the off season where you may feel like you don't look as good, but your lifts are amazing, you feel strong. So yeah, you just have to realize that bodybuilding comes in phases and you have to accept and embrace all of them. But of course it takes time, and I'm still struggling with some of that. So it just takes time. Okay, the next one is how many different approaches there are to off season, and I feel like I can't stay within 10 pounds stage weight. Okay, so this one is super, super good because yes, of course, it's ideal if you could stay closer to your stage weight. It'll make your next prep easier. But I feel like there's been so much emphasis on this that it stresses people out. Like, especially for me personally, because my coach wanted me to stay within like 10 to 12 pounds stage weight, which I just failed at. But so yeah, I feel like the industry puts a lot of emphasis on that, and then it's like stresses people out. So I say don't focus on the number, because I was super focused on like, oh, the scale is going up, like I'm failing, blah blah blah. But you just have to focus on figuring out what works best for you, and it takes multiple off seasons to get into the rhythm of it, which is what I'm realizing. Because honestly, in the beginning, or I don't know, like just honestly throughout my whole off season, part of me has felt like I'm doing so terrible, like I've gained way too much weight. But it takes time to figure out your rhythm in your off season. It takes multiple off seasons even maybe to figure it out. So just don't stress yourself out. There's a lot of different approaches. Some people, like for me, part of what I struggled with was, during in season, you are so on point, you measure everything, it just seems easy. And then when you're in off season, it's like, well, I don't want to be a robot all year round, so like maybe if I unplug a little bit now, it will like give me that mental readiness to be on point during prep. But then part of me is like, well, if I unplug now, like I'm leaving room for someone else to catch up to me. So I don't know, I guess I'm just hard on myself, but in the end you just have to figure out what works best for you, not to stress yourself out, and again to think of bodybuilding as a lifestyle. Like, people put so much emphasis on off season or improvement season or whatever, but when you have that mental shift of, instead of thinking about it as like in season and off season, just thinking about it as a lifestyle, and like if this is what you love, then like you won't want to eat garbage all the time. It won't be like, oh, I'm in prep so I diet hard, and then I'm in off season so I can eat whatever. That's not it. Not if you're serious about the sport. But yeah, so like I said, I mean, a bunch of people have different approaches to their off season, so I just say, just talk to your coach, figure out what works best for you, and don't stress out about it. Everything in life, it takes time to figure out a rhythm and what works for you. Okay, so the next one is a biggie. So the next one is just the whole in general struggle of binge eating. So first of all, I want to say I have totally been there. You are not alone. Like, I have been there where you think, oh, just one more, blah, blah, blah. And then it turns into like a whole binge feast. Honestly, it feels like disgusting. But sometimes you just have to like sit to yourself and think like, I'm not hungry, I'm not hungry, I'm not hungry. And honestly, the only tips I have for that is like chug water, brush your teeth, and go to sleep. Of course I could sit here and say like, remember the ultimate goal and blah, blah, blah. But I have been there and I understand like when you are binge eating or whatever, it's really hard to like actually take that moment and like remember your goals. Like, it's just really hard to do that. So I guess my advice first of all is to just like, after it happens, think about what triggered it, and then like what to do next time if you feel that trigger, and what you could change, to avoid that. But the biggest thing is that if it does happen, to not like just throw in the towel after that. Don't just give up and let everything be a downhill spiral from there. Because nobody is perfect, and you will slip up. Like, you can't go into off season expecting to be perfect, but you just have to remember to not let your slip ups just turn into something way bigger. And to be honest, when it does happen, it is just like so mentally hard. Not only because like of course you feel disgusting, but it just makes you, or at least for me, it makes me like question who I am. Like, am I really that serious about this sport? Like, how could I have been so like perfect to the gram on prep, like not even a thought about cheating? It was just easy, and then now it's like all the self-discipline and self-control just flew out the window. And honestly, it just makes me question like what the fuck is wrong with me. But you can't get caught up in those thoughts. Even though it may have already happened, you can't compensate for what's already done. You just have to like take a breath. Sometimes like you may feel stupid, but sometimes you like have to meditate before you eat, or just practice mindful eating. Just be very mindful and take a moment and just remember all the self-discipline you had, and just remember what you are capable of. Just because you're in off season and you can eat doesn't mean that you have to. And everything you do is a choice, so you can either choose to work towards your goal or work against it. And the last thing I want to say about this is something that a friend of mine said that really resonated with me. He said, eating nonsense will make you feel 1% better now and 100% worse later. So that quote just really helped me, resonated with me, and I hope it helped you. Alright, so the next one is wanting to just keep eating and eating and eating until you can't move. Okay, so this one, I totally feel you, girl. I've been there. Sometimes like literally you're like rolling on the ground in the fetal position in pain. So I've been there, and honestly that just comes down to your hunger hormones being like so jacked up and confused, because you've been dieting for so long that the second you start to eat more, your body just tells you you're like insatiably hungry, because your body like does understand what you're doing. It just is trying to survive. So your body doesn't know when it's going to get food next because you've been dieting so long. But that's when you kind of have to understand like the hormones behind it, and that is just your hormones telling you that you're super hungry, because your body doesn't know when you're going to eat next. But like you do know when you're going to eat next. You're not actually starving yourself. So that's kind of when you just have to put like mind over matter and be mindful. Be like, okay, even before you start eating, honestly, just think about that. Be like, okay, once I start eating, I'm going to feel insatiably hungry, but like this is so much more food than I was eating during prep. So like at that point, when you finish your meal, you just have to like think to yourself like, I'm not hungry. And honestly, what has helped me is just like chugging a lot of water, because honestly, if you chug water, you just like feel so full, or at least I do. So that's definitely helped me, but yeah, that's really just gonna be your hormones. But trust me, I've given in before, and yeah, honestly, you kind of just feel disgusting and like don't want to move, like in pain from eating so much, but still wanting to eat. So I totally understand, and you're definitely not alone, but you just have to practice like mindful eating, and just understand your hunger hormones. Alright, you guys, so that is all the questions I had for you today. If I get more, maybe I'll do a part 2. But yeah, I just really wanted to share with you guys how my off season has been going, since I know I sort of like fell off the face of the earth. I feel like I've been still uploading some videos, but I haven't really gave like an off season update. So I want to be better about that, and there will be more content coming soon. And if you follow me on Instagram, then you know I'm starting prep in January, and I'm super, super excited. You guys have to stay tuned for what I have planned for my 2022 season. We are going to be undeniable, so I am super, super excited for that. One other announcement, I am now a brand ambassador for a local apparel company near me. It's called Rocky Gains, so I will put the link in the description. You could use code Isabel10 to get off. Their clothes are really comfortable, really good quality, and they have some really nice t-shirts for those off-season big t-shirt workouts. So that is all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. More content coming soon, and I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.